Introduce yourselves.
Yeah, my name is Guy Robitaille. We've moved here in 1957, and we lived across the street and moved over here 3 years later. So we have lived here ever since.
And you're on what street?
Callejon.
In Conchaloma.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, in Conchaloma. I should, yeah.
Good.
And we have the same phone number that we had when we moved in here.
Well, not quite, but almost.
Same number.
My name is Carmen Robitaille, and we've been married for going on 63 years, so we're practically glued together by now. And like I said, we lived in this house. We raised all our kids here, 4 of them, and now we have 14 grandkids.
Wow.
And all our kids are often, doing the thing, married and so on. So they all, they all grew up in this house.
Well, to start with, what do you both remember about incorporation in 1965? What were the reasons some people wanted to and others didn't want to?
It seems to me the most important thing people wanted was a police department. We had a sheriff who one car, and I don't know. Nobody ever hardly saw him. I think he had another job. But to me, it was usually the police department would come up, incorporating, if we had incorporated. Plus there were streets and other maintenance problems. That would have put us in much better shape than being unincorporated. And so the ball began, and started.
We, our one sheriff, if you needed anything, you could go find him.
Yeah.
You knew where he lived, so we'd find him. But the people, I think, started feeling that we were like the stepchild of the county, and nothing ever got done here. We never had enough services. We never had enough police. We never had maintenance, but yet they were collecting some of our taxes, so we felt that maybe we should keep some of our taxes. So that was one of the main things that people wanted to be incorporated for. Now, against incorporation were those people who were the old timers who had lived here forever. Many generations of people who have lived here that they felt that was not necessary, and we were going to be taxed. They were afraid we were going to have a city tax. And that would be tax on top of tax, and they didn't want that. And they thought they would change the town by incorporating. So that was mainly the two things. There were two factions: the old residents and the younger ones, like us, who were like carpetbaggers. We came here with these ideas, even though it was quite a few years later after we came. But that was the gist of it.
Is there anything else you remember about incorporation?
Yeah, some of the people running for council were strictly against incorporation. So we had people within the group that were hoping to become a councilman were fighting it, and yet wound up to be councilman. Ernie Wolbrand being one of them.
Yeah, I think they felt that they needed to have somebody on their side on the council to balance it, to protect themselves, protect the town. So out of the 5 that were originally elected, Ernie was one, and he represented the older generation.
He represented all of the people against it.
Now,
he was like their spokesman.
Carmen, you mentioned they were afraid that there would be a city tax. Well,
yes.
Was there a city tax?
No, there never has been. We still don't have a city tax. So the only thing that is different now, really, is that we don't have our own police department. Eventually, we had our own police force.
Yeah.
And after a number of years, it became more cost-effective to contract with the sheriff's department. And that's where we've been for a number of years now.
Do you think there's been any difference in service between having our own police department and having the sheriff's?
Well, I think we've lost some of the personal touch.
Oh, yeah.
We knew the policemen, because there was a few of them, and they were always around. You knew who they were, you knew them by name, you saw them in the grocery store. I think we've lost that because the sheriff's department switches people, and now we don't even have a substation anymore that's manned. So it all comes out of Santa Barbara now. So that's changed. We've lost the personal connection, I think.
The people that were against incorporation, after we incorporated, were they for it afterwards?
Well, I'm going back to Wolverine again. I think he was actually happy it was over with. Well, happy he won. And he was on the council, but I never heard him really complain about it being incorporated after. In fact, he helped me out on a lot of the anniversaries. So he was, the others sat in the background. You know, the ones who didn't like it, after we became incorporated, you didn't see them running around the street anymore yelling about it. Kind of laid back. Wait and see what happens attitude.
Actually, the whole race or the campaign was very civilized. There was no
40.
There was no no bad talk, no scandals, no digging up dirt on anybody.
It wasn't divisive?
No, it was civilized. We didn't, not like we are now, you know, where there's a lot of bad stuff going on. No, it was very civilized. We disagreed, but nicely.
What would you say have been some of the big controversies in Carpinteria over the last 50 years?
Mm.
Oh, in the last 60?
50, yeah.
Maybe the police department could be one, a small one. The fact that it was really nice, so we had our own. I mean, we knew all of them by their first name. They knew most of the people by their first name. It didn't mean they didn't issue tickets or abide by the law, which they did, of course. But much friendly attitude.
I think another huge controversy was the Bluffs development. That was a big one.
Now tell me...
That wasn't incorporation.
It wasn't during incorporation, but later on.
This is something else. Do you remember how the Bluffs were used over the last 50 years?
Oh, you would.
Well, before, when there was nothing, just bare dirt, you know, just land. They had a dirt track. You know, they ride motorcycles up there and that sort of thing. It was not. It was just wild ground, and so the first thing that come into that area was the 7-Up plant, which is the closest to the city, and then it started spreading out towards
The 7-Up plant is a seeds.
Yeah, I think it's a seed company now.
So that'd be the first.
That was the first one to come.
Did it bottle 7-Up, or what did it do?
Yes.
No, they bottled.
Yeah,
it was a bottling plant.
Bottling plant.
They employed a lot of people.
And there was let's see, there was what was that plant? All those people came in the 60s.
The guy who ran it.
Infrared was a company.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead with the plant, the bottling.
The guy at the bottling company, he ran for senator. The guy who owned it. I used to know him. I forgot his name right now.
Anyway,
He ran for state senator.
The infrared was another plant that came in, opened up here, and it employed a lot of people. It brought people from Chicago. There was a lot of people that came in the 60s that were from Chicago. And that was about the only two industrial things that were there for years.
Well, was there some oil processing or development?
That's been there since before we came here. The same place where it is now.
Wait a minute, the what?
The oil processing plant. They used to have a tanker that would come in, and we could hear him come, and we could see from here at
a tankered truck?
No, a boat.
Oh.
A ship.
Yeah, we'd see it right here from this window. Just watch them unload.
And it would drop. You could hear drop anchor, so you knew when the.
You wave at them.
But it was.
There were no trees then. That's why we could see it.
It would bring the oil into to be processed.
Well, it brought oil here, or it took it out?
No, it brought it in.
Brought it in. And they still have the same pier. That's the pier they use, the one that's down there.
Were there any accidents with the oil, or I know there was the one in '68 or '69, the oil spill, but have there been any other environmental issues?
No.
No. The biggest complaint was from the people who moved into the tract right next to the. They're still there. That tract at the bottom next to the plant, but they moved in after the plant was already there. So they probably should have known there was going to be some odor and some noise and.
The only accident that occurred was a helicopter crash. Across the street from the freeway was where the copters parked. Parsons Field. And one day one went to pick up some guys and they went down.
Oh, they used to use the helicopter to transport the workers. To
instead of the boats.
Yeah, to the platforms. They used helicopters.
It was transported by helicopters.
And after that?
After the crash, they went to the boats. It closed up the helicopter service. Well, I'm getting dry again.
Were people killed in the helicopter crash?
I don't think so. I don't remember that. I don't think so. But it was dangerous, and because of the weather and the winds and so on, it was a kind of a hazardous flight, even if it was a short flight.
And it was noisy.
And it was noisy, and so they opted to go.
But so was the Chevron ship when they drop anchor, always early in the mornings. It was fun to watch.
Now tell me.
Then wait a minute. There's another thing I forgot. Another thing about why people wanted that incorporation, and there's a thing there they're really mad about, was they tore the pier down. I remember most of us that spoke, we all had these things we would go to and speak, and what are you going to do as a councilman and all that. I would always stick up for one thing: build the pier back. And that was a big thing.
We had a pier right at the end of the Carpinteria Creek. You remember? And it got trashed by some storm.
Took half of it, so they removed the other half.
Yeah, rather than to rebuild, they opted to, and it took like 3 days to burn down. The thing would not go if they tried burning it. It would not burn down.
I could stay here and watch with my binoculars people fishing on the pier, because it would be over to my right.
Yeah.
Anyway.
We'd get on the porch and we would look at the
Those were
binoculars.
just things that we remember that were here then, but of course things change.
So some people were wanted the city to incorporate in order to build a pier, so the city would have some say in it. But do you know why it never happened?
I don't know, but
I think it was the cost.
It's still. I donated money from all the city anniversaries that we made money. I would always put it into the pier fund. There's a pier fund. I don't know if it's still got money. It should have $10,000 in it anyway.
No, it was mostly the cost.
And Organista would be a good guy to talk about that, about the pier. Organista.
Yeah. He was very involved in that. It would have been a nice fishing pier. That's all it was intended to be. Nothing to bring in big boats or anything. Just a fishing pier. And it was, but the cost was too high, and they thought that it was going to be bringing all kinds of trashy people. That attitude that it was going to make the town look bad, because it was going to.
But you know what? That turned out to be a big thing, a big push for a corporation, putting the pier back.
Anyway.
Now let's talk about the anniversaries. I know you've been involved in some of them, and in a little bit we'll go to the basement. You'll show me some stuff, but tell me what you remember about the different city anniversaries.
Okay. I did the first one, and it was...
First the hot dog thing, and that was before the election. Your hot dog
right
party.
before the election. I was a food broker. So I got a bunch of guys together, and I got them to donate hot dogs. I got another guy to give me all the buns.
This is for which anniversary?
No, for the...
Incorporation.
For incorporation.
Incorporation,
okay, yeah.
We used my lot, not my lot, but the lot where my candy store is. you know, in between. It was dirt at that time. Bob Baker told me I could use it. I said, okay, fine. I'm going to throw something wide for the city. Free hot dogs all day long. Hot dogs and potato chips. Pickles, you know, everything went with it. Potato salad.
And was this part of your campaign or part of...
I was doing it, no, I was doing it for incorporation. I sponsored it. And then I let every councilman that was running, I gave them all a table. And they could put out their own literature. And then we had the main table in the front for incorporation people to talk about incorporation, like the front row facing Linden. They would occupy, you know, the whole line of answering all the questions. The background.
Did all the candidates come?
Oh yeah, sure. They wanted in on that one.
Yeah, it was a good promotional thing, and it was free. What can you go wrong?
I mean, free in the city never had anything like that, you know. So whether that had any help, I have no idea. Whether it helped out some candidates, I don't know. We may have been giving guys seats. I may have been giving the guy seats who did nothing but talking against me, you know. I don't know.
Now,
but,
how many people ran for the initial office, and did you run?
Yeah. I came in sixth.
And they elected 5 people, right?
They elected 5, and I know the guy who beat me, and I know how he beat me, by 5 votes.
Oh, really?
It was all close. Well,
it was crooked.
How many entered? About 24 people?
40, I think.
No, I don't know if that many, was it? Anyway, it was a lot of candidates. Because it didn't cost a whole lot to sign up.
$5, I think it was.
Whatever it was. So a lot of them did. A lot of them just dropped out along the way, never did anything. But the few that remained really worked for it and went out there and campaigned and, you know, had little door-to-door stuff and buttons and all that. Oh, straw hats. But
well, that's what
that was the first anniversary, I think.
That was the first anniversary.
So then that was that. Finally, the thing was won, and we elected a council. One of the 5 council members was among the highest vote getter,
Alan
became
Coates.
president. I mean, mayor.
Alan Coates.
Yeah, Alan,
no, Marjorie Mills.
No, Alan Coates was.
Didn't
Anyway,
it-
Marjorie. Anyway, it was one woman and 4 guys, and they. So the highest vote getter was automatically mayor, and then they rotated the seat. It was not an office of the mayor. They're still that way. One of the councilmen will serve as mayor, and they take turns.
And you were a council person yourself later, right?
Yes, in 19.
But she was in the planning commission 10 years.
I was in the planning commission from 75 to 84. I was there 9 years. In 84, I replaced one of the council members who had to leave town. Her husband was moving and she had to leave. So I replaced her, and then I was in the next 4 years as well. So I was in the council 5 years altogether.
What do you recall as some of the big issues while you were a council person and on the planning commission?
Mostly the Bluffs. That was been a problem forever. There was some people that were thinking we were building too many units, too many condos, especially across the freeway. There was always somebody that would complain about the growth. They thought it was going to be a huge city, and they didn't want that. They wanted to be continue to be a small town. So the growth and the Bluffs were the 2 biggest things.
And were there any particular developments that were controversial or proposals?
Usually Ralph Brown.
Yeah, but I can remember anything that was particular. There was always somebody that filed a complaint about anything, any proposal, any building, but not any one in particular that I can remember that was.
Yeah, what about the hotel that went down?
No,
Fort Western?
Yeah,
the Best Western?
The Best Western. No, I don't think there was any controversy on that, but I don't don't think there was any particular.
All I remember is that thing got approved, boom, it went up fast, and before you know it, it was open.
Well, yeah, because I was involved in that. I had a shovel. They gave me a golden shovel.
Yeah.
Well,
To break ground.
let's get back to the anniversaries. Now, you were involved, was it the 10th or the 25th?
first.
All of them.
The first.
So tell me a little bit about it.
All right, let's start off with the first.
Okay, the first, so that was the 1 year anniversary?
1 year.
And what
Most
happened
people
then?
would think, well, you know, 1 year deal, let's have it in the afternoon. No, I spread it out 3 days. We, number one, which I did at all of them, we had street dance. Shut down Linden, nighttime, had a street dance.
What
No.
type of dancing was done?
Huh?
What type of dancing?
Just whatever
Hey, whatever.
Whatever it was, whatever we had.
Bands were fighting to get in there to play their music. You know, the guy was playing Mexican music. Of course, all the Mexicans that want to get out there and dance. If they're playing some, what? How would you explain it? The different
Well,
types.
whoever volunteered to play is what it was.
There would be people, and then we had people that would watch the beer sales and things like that, which went to local people, clubs. And let's see, the highest ranking guy we had for that was, I'll never forget the guy, big guy. He was a state, not a state senator. What's the next one under that?
Assemblyman?
Assemblyman.
Oh, Jack? Not Jack.
No, not Jack. This guy came from somewhere else. Anyway, we got him.
So,
Then we had, like I said, the street dance, and then another day we would shut down Linden again. We would shut down Linden, period, and have a flea market.
oh, this is the first anniversary
Yeah.
still? Yeah.
Only for the people, nobody from the outside we'd let in to the flea market. They come in, try to get in there, and I'm going to come in for the Boys Club Bologna. Only local people. They wanted to sell shoelaces, fine. You're local, you sell shoelaces. We would fill it up though. And that night is when we had the street dance following the thing. And as for
Oh, you have the hats and buttons and all.
then to finance all this, the city gave me on that one $1,200, and I had reminded them that I had been down to the Strawberry Festival in Oxnard. I went to their meeting when they were putting it together for their put it on, and they were giving $100,000. So I said, we'll see what we can do with $1,000. So we bought hats, straw hats, and buttons, little things to sell, door-to-door selling. Every building in town had something on their desk. The employees wore hats, all the banks wore hats. Anyway, we came out, we paid for it, I returned money back to the city. That was the first now.
Also, we had the women's club then. We had a junior women's club, which was a younger version of the Carpinteria Women's Club, which still exists. The junior's long gone, but
And you were president of that.
yeah. But at that time, we all of us painted. We had stencils and we painted birthday cakes on businesses' windows.
Huh.
We go up and down Linden, and,
Oh, that's right.
and we had these
Good
birthday
job.
cakes on the windows.
That was a good job. Yeah.
Up and down Linden and on Carp Avenue, as far as they were just businesses, windows, and they of course it all let us. It was fine with them. That was good. That was fun to do.
I mean, it was ridiculous. 1 year, first year anniversary. Blew it up like the 100th anniversary. So then we went on, we skipped the 5th, then we went to the 10th. And it got lasted a little longer, a little more exciting. Basically the same thing, the street dance, the flea market, and more people came, and then a parade. Lagomarsino, we'd always have a congressman there. Lagomarsino would come to everything. Jack O'Connell, who became, Jack? Yeah, we put him in a car, made him look big, and I used to yell at him, "All right, Jack, I'm the only Republican here that voted for you." You know, I'll never forget yelling at him. He thanked me for it. But
So on the 10th, there was a parade and flea market and dance.
and we sold more stuff. You know, coffee cups now, and we just whatever I had this advertising people come around to recommend, I would take it on if it was worthwhile. We'd had did we do the things for the refrigerator?
No, we did those later, I think. And we did those little phone books. Remember the little?
That's what I'm talking about.
They opened up.
Yeah.
It was like an accordion thing.
Oh.
That snapped together, and you had to.
You could put a whole phone book in a business card.
Like a little addresses.
It would open up.
But that was for the 25th, I think.
No, we did those for 2 of them.
Well, anyway, we did those, you know, but stuff, just little trinkets, stuff like that. But we sell it, and that's how you financed it. We didn't have to have big money from anybody. We didn't have money from corporations like they do now for the avocado festival.
Never asked for anybody for anything.
We didn't go to the oil company begging for money. We didn't ask for banks or anybody. Just normal, ordinary people every day, you know, merchants and their customers. We just sell stuff, and people would buy it.
We would be on corners selling our stuff. We have our own little display tables on all the major corners.
So that's how they were financed.
And then we would, you know, pick up the money at the end of the day. On the 10th, then Pete Small introduced the canoe races down Linden Avenue, made out of
What anniversary was that?
10th. We had them all. After that, we took on the Navy in the 20th.
Yes.
Pete Small made these cardboard canoes. And by God, they looked like a canoe. No wheels. Nothing underneath it was hollow. It was your legs. You sat down, but your legs did it. And it was great. I mean, we had to turn down the entries. 10 entries, all we could get across the street. And
was it nonprofit organizations or
No, just anybody that wanted to make a canoe. And Pete Small was a local guy here that had a business, and he did printing, and he printed T-shirts and that sort of thing. Anyway, he was very creative, and he made a model, and then people copied it, and it was and they you know just scoot down Linden Avenue to the beach, and whoever won got a prize. But that was fun.
Whatever prize we wanted to give them, I forget what it was. They weren't big.
What you call it, you know, just
Probably a handful of souvenirs.
innocent fun.
They all laughed. Everybody loved it. They were coming in from Santa Barbara to watch it. Then by the 20th, that's when I tried to get the
What was the 25th? Anyway, it doesn't matter.
25th?
on the 20th or 25th?
Yeah, I can't remember which one it was that did all that. Oh, that was a big one. That was a real big
Tell
one.
us
All
about
right, the 20th, we had a black tie party. And I'm going to let you explain. You were ahead of that.
What, the one at the Palms?
The Palms.
Well, anyway, we decided to have a black tie party, and everybody said, "Oh, who's going to wear tux? Who's going to wear a dong gown?" You know, it was ridiculous. This is a beach town. We don't do that. Well, we did. We had a black tie event at the Palms. We closed down the Palms for the night, and we had a red carpet. People dressed up, men in tuxes, women in long dresses. We had Nilo Fanuuchi on the sidewalk
mic.
with a microphone announcing who was arriving in a limousine. We got these kids driving cars.
I was feeding him the names.
Mr. and Mrs. Mr. and Mrs.
Now listen to this. We had the chauffeurs were the football team from I forget where we got our cars.
Oh, we had car dealership then.
Car dealers donated their cars so we could drive up to the front. We had spotlights.
Oh, that's right. The big.
You don't ever see them, but we had them. And I was able to still funnel the money around. The spotlights were $150 an hour, I think. Very expensive. And so the thing started with the football team. We're going to be the chauffeurs. We had the cars. and everybody's wearing a black tie. Anyway, people starting to line up across the street in chairs watching.
In front of the, what used to be the hardware.
So I told Nilo, hey, throw some names at him out there. So like, I think the first one I did was Gregory Peck. I said, tell Mr. and Mrs. Gregory Peck. And now Mr. and Mrs. Gregory Peck, hey, people are out there clapping, taking pictures. Everybody taking pictures of this, running out halfway in the street to get a closer look. It worked. Then it was Eastwood, and every name we could come, Marlon Brando, everybody we could think of was at that black tie party. Then the speech at the black tie party was going to be given by Lagomarsino. Well, you know the layout there. How he got up on the
standing room only practically.
Yeah.
Although it was a dinner, but
he got up on the bar. He had to get up on top of the bar. Were you up there?
yeah.
On the bar?
He was our very favorite congressman. He
He
came
was.
to everything, no matter how trivial it was. He'd come, and he and his wife would come. Anyway, he came to this event, and he couldn't find any place where he could get up high enough to talk to all the people that were there. So he got up on the bar, and I'm standing there looking at him, and he says, "It's awful lonely up here. Come on up here." And he pulled me up by the arms and plugged me on the bar with him. So that's what he did. In those days, I was pretty agile. I could do that.
Can you still jump up on a bar?
I doubt it. I can hardly walk to the bar now.
And all of the years that we've lived here, I've never seen a black tie party in Carpinteria, except that one.
And then later on, we did it.
Then there was another one coming.
Okay, so
Now, but during the meantime, again, I'm back to the same routine, the street dance, you know.
We had a
Now the people who guarded, the people who were drinking were the JCs, junior
chamber. They were.
a junior chamber.
they were serving drinks?
No, they weren't serving. They were watching guys who drank too much. And politely, they would take them by the arms and remove them. They'd never come back. Nobody asked any questions. We never had any fights, no drunks, nothing. It was always clean. Then we had, while the street dance, we would throw in competition. So you know, singers. Maybe some women wanted to sing. Somebody wanted to tap dance. It was fun. And all the spotlights are now, they stayed again. They're there for another day. And it's still costing money. And so they're all under spotlights now, these people. And it was just, every single one I used to look forward to it, even if it was like 10 years apart. It was a lot of fun.
Well,
It lasted 5 days.
when did the Navy come in?
The Navy is a big one.
Was that the 25th anniversary?
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Well, again, Lagomarsino, I asked Lagomarsino, I said, hey, you know, the Ironsides, what was that?
Missouri.
The Missouri was on its way through here somewhere around that time going to Portland to be mothballed in Portland, Oregon. I said to him, you know, God, wouldn't it be something if we could get them to stop up here in Carpinteria, little town? I said, hey, I'm going to tell me who to write to. So he gave me a name of all the, what do they call those guys, the chief admiral of...
The fleet. Admiral of the fleet.
Admiral of the Fleet. It's who I wrote to. I'll be darned if I didn't get an answer back saying, you know, it's a little late. We were already committed to Portland, Oregon, but I will send you a destroyer named the Berkeley. And he went on to describe it, 500 and something sailors, and it was a guided missile destroyer, and the length of it and everything. And well, fine. However, we dug up all the maps because I know oil lines all over the place out there. And if these guys dropped anchor, how many of those lines are they going to pull? So we had to do all kinds of research on the maps. The government even furnished it, their engineers, along with the oil people. So they found the clear passage where to park it. And by God, they did park it. And we ran.
Just like at the end of Linden? Or?
Yeah, crosswise. So it was like a T, you know.
They made it a T.
And there was the ship straight across in front of you.
And they lit that thing up. You'd think it was Christmas every night. That thing just stood out there. It was beautiful. And that particular, I'm going ahead of myself because there is so much on this thing.
Well, they also had tours.
We had tours. Now, again, I had to get special buses for the tours. And we did charge. We charged on that. 50 cents, I think.
Whatever it was, but then they take them to the pier, this oil pier.
Yeah, the buses would take them to the oil pier. They would get those boats that take the laborers out to the wells, only they would go to the ship. And on the first go-around, the ship that was hauling the workers now had a bunch of people, nothing to hold on to, you know, nothing. People were hanging on to each other. They rammed the side of the ship and broke the stairway up to it, right off the bat. So, how do we get them up there? The sailors maneuvered a rope ladder. They made a rope ladder. Threw it over, and the people, they'd send a sailor down, put an old lady on it, on the ladder, have her move up forward with the guy behind her in case she fell back. Every single person, every day for 3 days we did that.
Up a rope ladder?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I didn't go. I meant to tell you, I didn't go. I could see it from here. That was good enough. But that was another event for that anniversary.
And that night, one of those nights, the second night they were out here, we had a fishing derby. And it was beautiful to see that those guys that had their boat, and they knew we were having a derby right in front of them, and they blinking their lights and playing musical tunes on the lights, you know, while you're on the shore. That was fun. And the next day, we had the canoe race. This time it was the Navy. They entered 5 teams against Carpinteria's challengers, who call themselves Hercules team or some big name. It was really great. You should have seen the people turn out for that one. Both sides of the street yelling. It was even all the way down. A couple of our guys crashed into a Navy guy who crashed into 2 of his others. Only 2 guys wound up crossing the line by a nose. Navy won. And they were all, horns started going off on the ship because they got word back to the ship the Navy won. It was fun. And we had, again, the street dance.
The black tie thing, though.
Then a black tie party.
We had another one.
This time we borrowed the boys' club. And this was a nice one. They were dressed up. Oh my God. Navy guys, when they're dressed up, they're dressed up. And they went to this thing like they were going to their military ball. It was really a nice show. And we hired a band, 16-piece orchestra, I forget the guy's name. We had to pay for that. So that was the end of the anniversaries. But there was a lot more that took place that.
Well, it was just full of events. I mean, we had
like we had a snow day. Remember, Park King.
Yeah, talent shows, you know, stuff, all kinds of stuff. But
the theaters were busy. Free movies one day for the kids.
But it was then. But there was a controversy with that Navy thing. To tell you the honest truth.
Really? Why was that?
It was warlike. and we don't do war. And there was
2 girls.
yeah, there was women who actually I have to back up a number of years, like maybe when Susie was about 5, maybe 1963, 64. They had what they call a Loyalty Day parade, which was a thing because of the May Day parade that the
Russians were having.
We were doing our Loyalty Day parade, and it was supposed to be May 1st.
During the Cold War.
It was May 1st. And it was this hometown parade, and everybody, and it was not a 4th of July, it was in April or something, May 1st. And kids would dress up and they had baton twirlers, and we had red, white, and blue floats and all that stuff. Well,
and this started about when?
Early 60s, because our oldest daughter was about 5, and she was born in 56, so maybe 61, 62, somewhere around there. But one year, this went on for several years. One year, to make it more interesting and it was kind of getting kind of boring with just the same old baton twirlers and homemade floats, that someone decided to invite a Navy or Army, I forget what, some service unit to come and be in our parade. After all, it was a Loyalty Day parade, which was a counter to the Russian parade, which was really big. And some people were thrilled to death to see a group of service people in the parade. Other people were totally against it, fuming, because it was warlike. Well, that same feeling went to the Navy when the Navy came in the ship. And that 20 years later, that it was...
Your daughters are going to get raped.
It was, oh yeah, the sailors were going to raise all kinds of hell in town, and it was going to be all kinds of... There were just some people that just didn't like anything that had to do with war. And so we had to put up with that kind of thing, but it was minimal. It wasn't... they were just loud. They were very, very loud and pushy. But we ignored them, went on our way and did our thing, and everybody enjoyed it, and everything worked out fine.
And no sailor...
Nobody was arrested.
No sailor would walk in town. He would be asked by 50 people before he could get 30 feet. Everybody offering him rides. You would never see a guy walking by himself. He'd be picked up immediately for, take wherever you want to go. You know, someone would go to Santa Barbara.
And there weren't any bad incidents with the...
Oh, no. Not a one problem.
One, no. But there was some people just objected to that. It was not like our town, our holy little town. We couldn't have anything that might resemble any war.
And then they mothballed that poor destroyer. They came out to see us, and we were invited to it in San Diego. And that was quite an event, and to our surprise, we were laid out a red carpet, escorted by high-ranking people, dressed up really nice, sat right in the front with the guy's mother and father.
Yeah, the captain.
He says, payback time. That's what he told me. Yeah. We treated him like a king down here, he says.
Yeah.
That was on the greatest stops they've made. It was, and there's so much to say about it.
Were there any anniversaries you were involved with after that one, after
Well,
the 25th?
No, we're this one right now.
How about the 30th? Did we do anything then? No, I don't think so.
No.
No, after that it got, well actually, the town changed, the population changed.
How would you say things have changed over the years? Or how did it change?
I'm trying
We'll
to
have to think about that one. I'm thinking.
How to put it. People that came mostly...
we had a problem in between that proposition.
Oh, yeah, we had... Well...
That was a war.
Yeah, there was
Those guys started throwing stuff at windows.
Which proposition was that?
I'm trying to think.
That was the
Who was behind it?
wait a minute, that was not...
Proposition 13, 15?
Measure W, measure M, measure... It was to create oh gosh, Santa Barbara just got rid of theirs. The state just got rid of them. When you take the funds from the schools, I mean, and use them for some other purpose, it had a name. Anyway, that was a measure that the city council wanted to do because it gave more money to the city, but it took away from other agencies. But anyhow, there was a big turmoil about that. People were throwing stuff at windows. They were writing graffiti all over buildings. I mean, it was bad.
So it was about giving money.
You know, what's it called?
Proposition, tax.
It was taking money that was already taxed,
Okay.
like say the school district, because it's a separate district from the city. The city has nothing to do with the school district, as far as nothing. It's a separate district. Has nothing to do with the sanitary district. Has nothing to do with the water district. Those are all individual entities. The city doesn't get any funds from any of those.
So it's taking money from one district and giving it to the city?
Yes, that was the idea, and that was to be used for infrastructure, for the city needs, because the people who work and who live and who work at that district are also citizens of this community. So the thinking was that they should contribute, and that was but that had to be voted on. Carpinteria voted it down. Santa Barbara voted it in, and just recently, in the last couple of years, the state eliminated that. We couldn't do that anymore, and I can't remember the name. You got to look it up what it's called.
I remember one morning.
But anyway,
Do you remember about what year it was?
I remember one morning I went to the store.
Well, we had the store already, so it was within the last 20 years probably.
I went to the store early one morning, and there was this tall guy, I never forgot him. Two guys taking all kinds of pictures of my store, different angles, the top, the roof. And I yelled at him, and the guy, grab your stuff, and they grabbed their stuff. So anyway, I chased the guy down to the Japanese place. And I grabbed a hold of his equipment. And the guy said that they were hired by people out of Oxnard to disrupt whatever they could, whatever they wanted to do, no restrictions, just to disrupt the day. There were other crews that would disrupt the day, but this went on for maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
I'll have to get to the bottom of it.
Yeah, look into that. You know,
It's called Measure M.
Oh, it was Measure M.
Yeah, Measure M. Yes, that was a big controversy.
that was the only thing I can think of that really affected the town, the people.
But then you ask how it changed. It started changing. New people came into town, and they had, like we did. We had our own idea when we came to town how we could make it better. Well, 30 years later, people come to this town and they think they can make it better as well. But they're a lot more active, and they're a lot more. I don't know. I want to be kind of a word I want to use. I don't want to be nasty, but they were pushy. They wanted things their way. They wanted things to change a certain way, and they weren't willing to wait for the process to take place. They wanted it like now. They wanted to put benches on Linden Avenue. You know, that kind of stuff. So before you know it, they figured out a way to disrupt the election of 1990. That was really, really bad. It was nasty election. That's what I was involved in. It was very, very nasty. And most of the people that were fighting us, fighting the current city council, were people who were brand new to town. They'd been here maybe a few years. And they brought in the big hammers from elsewhere. So the guy that ran their campaign against us was not a local. It had nothing to do with anything. We were not used to that.
Do you know who that guy was?
A guy from Burbank. I don't know what his name was. I forgot.
These other guys were from Oxnard.
Maybe that was Ted Rhodes you're talking about?
No, not Ted. But it was that kind. It was that group of people. Although the Allens had been here. Susan and Dave Allen had been here a long time. They had always been a pain in the council, because Susan used to complain about something every single meeting, and mostly always was the smells or the noises or something coming from the oil plant.
Yeah, always.
Yet she moved into that house after the thing was already there. You know, it isn't like they put it there after she moved there. But they wanted to get rid of the oil. They wanted to get rid of anything that had to do with leaving things alone. They wanted everything changed. It wanted Linden Avenue to look like a mall. The trees, the benches, the identical facades, the colors. We wanted to put an awning on our store because its afternoon sun really hits those windows. And we wanted it red and white striped because that's what sort of the motif of the business.
It's our floor.
You know, the inside is red and white. We thought the red and white awning would be nice. They would not let us.
She wanted white.
If anything, if we were going to have any kind of an awning, it had to be white. You imagine how long that would stay white? For the birds and the thing, everything else that flies around. That kind of thing, you know. Yet now I see awnings of all colors up there. But at that time, they were very set in their ways, and it was mostly the people that remained in the council for many years. Like Mrs. Jordan. It was a little clique of people that all agreed, and they pretty much ran things. So that we sort of just gave up. We figured, well, you know, let them do whatever they do. We're not involved anymore. I had my turn, and we thought we did pretty well, but, you know, we're not good enough, I guess, so let them do better. So I guess they have. Now we do look like a Orange County Mall. Green benches, green poles. The only thing is that we do have different color awnings. That's the only saving grace.
Now,
and we have no awning because we finally gave up on the awning idea.
tell us about your connection to President Reagan and the mints and so forth. How did that come about? And tell us.
Well, you could tell him that one. That's your story.
I don't know. I have to think where to start.
When Reagan was elected, he had a he'd come to the ranch every so often. He'd go to the ranch, and we were very involved in the local Republican Party. So we would know when he was coming because they would set up an office in Santa Barbara, like a communications office kind of thing. And then we'd know he was going to be at the ranch.
And we would look out the window
and see the helicopter.
and know exactly which helicopter. We didn't know which one he was in, but we knew that one of those three, he was in one of them.
But anyway, we got acquainted with the people in the office because they'd be there ahead of time. And he'd bring them. We had our candy plant was in Santa Barbara at that time. We didn't have a retail store, just a manufacturing place. And so he'd bring them candy, bring the ladies their candy now and then. So that's how it started. Pretty soon, we started sending candy to the president.
Well, it was because of McGilvery.
Yeah.
Because of what?
McGilvery. He used to be the mayor of Santa Barbara years ago. And he took me up to the ranch one day, Reagan's ranch. The day of the Olympics, that Reagan spoke at the Olympics, I was over there at the ranch. And his guy who took care of his horses by the name of Barney, I think. In fact, I think he just died. He loved my peanut brittle. So I would send stuff up there, and pretty soon somebody else liked something else, and I would have that sent over here to what was the name of those hotels they always stayed at on the beach?
Yeah, the
Miramar.
no, I
The
forget.
Biltmore or
Maybe.
Fest Parker?
No, Fest Parker wasn't there yet.
Yeah.
I forget where.
No, they never did go to
But
Fez.
anyway, no, the entourage, the people that came with the president would stay there. The Secret Service guys would go with him to the ranch, but the rest of them, the car drivers and those people would stay in Santa Barbara. And that's where we...
Pretty soon I was doing something for all of them.
Yeah, they're all
Except Davidson. Sam Davidson.
Okay.
The news reporter, he was the guy who was always on Reagan. the bad guy. Slick black hair.
Oh, I don't remember him.
You remember? You know? You know what I'm talking about?
No. No. Davidson, no.
Not offhand.
There was one guy there who'd go to the meeting and disrupt it every time.
Oh, well, anyway, get on.
Donaldson.
How did you get on with the Reagan thing?
That started it. Anyway, so we sent him some candy over for one of his parties, and at the White House, and he liked it. And then said he wanted them for the inauguration, and that's how that came about with Reagan. And then from there it blossomed.
And what did you make? Special mints?
Yeah, well,
Special mint, yeah.
Well, what happened is the inaugural committee, which is set up for every presidential inauguration, and they sell sponsorships. You know, the big companies pay because there's no taxpayer money involved in those events. It's all paid for by private funds. So when they asked us if we wanted to participate, because the president liked our candy.
$50,000.
And we said,
I never gave him a nickel.
yeah, how much? You know, we didn't even have any money. So they said, oh, no, we're not asking you to do anything. The president likes those mints so much that we just want you to.
I never had to pay a nickel.
We just want you to just provide them. That's all. So we did.
In the day of the inauguration, I brought enough mints that we passed them all over the plane. You know, everybody in the plane was eating mints.
In Air Force One?
No, we didn't go on that, no. No, this is,
When you flew to the
Yeah.
inauguration?
yeah, when we all left from Santa Barbara.
There was a whole lot of us that went to that inauguration.
Plane load.
Just about, yeah.
So, then when we get to the airport, they're passing out mints. As you're going for your luggage, you know, you go through a line, they're passing out mints. The hotels carried my mints. I remember one day in the snow, we were looking in a window of a big department store, and I had a huge display of mints. Remember, and I told the cab guy, wait a minute, don't leave. I'm gonna go get a picture. And
Anyway, that's how
all the rooms had them in all the hotels.
we provided them in little packets, you know, little cellophane packets. And then we had also in bulk for the restaurant at the White House. We just put them in like a 2-pound box rather than individually wrapped.
We were invited to go, bring my family. The guy said, bring your family.
That was after that.
So I took 3 kids, 3 of the 4 went. And we're waiting in line to go eat lunch.
This is after.
At the White House?
Yeah. We're waiting in line to eat lunch, and Bush was ahead of us.
Dole.
Dole was standing right in front of me in the line. Bush was behind us, a couple people. But when we got in to sign in, all my mints were there. I mean, geez. You know, I'm getting all choked up about this. My kids are behind me, and they go, oh, Dad, your mints.
That's great. You didn't supply the jelly beans.
No, that was another guy. He was the first 4 years.
Yeah, he was for the first 4 years. We were.
I was the second.
The second 4 years?
Yeah.
Yeah,
The official candy of his inauguration on the second term.
yeah, we were able to call it that, and they gave us a little seal to use. That was like a presidential seal, inaugural seal is what it was. It wasn't a president, it was the inaugural seal. We could put that on our boxes. So we were able to do that, and for a year we could do that. Use those boxes with that inaugural seal on it.
But you know, this has been thrashed over so many times by so many different people that I don't know how it's going to turn out now compared to what it was 20 years ago.
Well, it was, whatever it was fun while it lasted.
I mean, in what we were saying, I may have more information, better information.
We're just kind of rambling, but it was fun, and it was a fun experience to go to the White House. And then another time we got it when the president left office. I mean, his last visit to the branch before he left office. We were invited to they called us greeters, and so we went down to Magoo or Wainimi, where was it? No, the Air Force Base down there. Anyway, we went there, and we actually got to go inside the gate and saw the president and Nancy get off the helicopter, and then we greeted them, we shook hands, we talked to them, and then they got on the plane and left on the Air Force One. And that was an exciting experience. Yeah.
Yeah, we're the last ones to say goodbye when he left Santa Barbara.
Yeah, that was his last trip here.
Last trip.
While he was president. And another thing that we did that was fun, one of the inauguration, the second inauguration for Reagan, there were a lot of Santa Barbara people there that we knew, and there was this huge ball, and everybody had seats there, and some of them people had there was like little platforms all around the edge of the ballroom, and then maybe like a table, maybe 8 people on these little platforms. So anyway, we saw somebody we knew. We went and said hello to them, and they introduced us to the people at the table. Well, they all seemed to be somebody important, like the Secretary of Defense.
Schultz was there.
Yeah. So.
And Lagomarsino brought me over to them.
There was one guy that was the Secretary of Defense, or
Weinberger.
Weinberger. His name was Weinberger. Gosh,
Caspar Weinberger.
Caspar Weinberger. Yeah. So Caspar Weinberger says, "Oh, are you the candy man?" And he says, "Yes." And he says, "I have a friend in England that really likes your mints. Anyway, did you bring any with you? Any way I can get some?" Well, it might have happened that we had to have some with us.
Suitcases full.
So he said, "He gave me his card," and he says, "Just go over to Pentagon. They'll let you in. They'll bring you to my office." So we go to the Pentagon, and he says to him, "Oh, thank you, Mr. Katzberger."
Yeah.
And he says, "You'll never find me with that name." So we went to the Pentagon the next day with our mints.
I need to change tapes. We're going to pick up when you went to the Pentagon the next day.
Isn't that fun?
It is fun.